Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Sarvamangala Mangale Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Om Gunatito Aksharam Brahma Bhagavan Purushottamah Jano Janannidam Satyam Uchyate Bhavabandhanat Om Bhagavate Shri Swami Narayanaaya Namaha Om Shri Lakshmi Narayanaaya Namaha Om Shri Narnarayanaaya Namaha Om Shri Radha Krishnaya Namaha Om Shri Uma Maheshwara Swamine Namo Namaha Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Om Namo Hanumate Bhayabhanjanaya Sukham Kuru Phat Swaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 6th of December 2022. We are continuing in Shri VIVEKCHUDAMANI to further understand the great truths of Adi Shankaracharya that he has expounded. Before we get into that, I want to offer my prostrations and pranam and danvat pranam to all the sages, all the saints in the past, today who are present and yet to come, here in this planet and anywhere else in the universe. But it is at their lotus feet that we are doing our satsang, and of course towards the Supreme Lord we offer our pranams and our great respects and our prayers. So with that, to continue from yesterday, we have been talking about mantra sadhana in relation to Sabij Dhyan. And mantra sadhana, in mantra sadhana specifically, we are using as an example the Namah Shivaya mantra, the Chamunda Devi mantra, Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaya Viche. As we know, there are thousands and thousands of mantras. So mantra sadhana is a way to meditate. It is a type of dhyan. It is a dhyan that grows our energies, as we have been saying. Now, one of the most difficult problems in spiritual practice is repetitiveness, boredom. This happens in spiritual practice also. If you start doing a mantra sadhana, doing a particular sadhana regularly, at some point the mind gets bored. So, no, I want something else, I want something different. But that boredom that shows up is like a blockage. Because the fact is that when we do mantras, they are going to create new internal experience. So there is a freshness, a newness, a new development from within. So these blockages that develop, that seem to be there, things seem repetitive, there's boredom, etc. One has to break through that. So by continuing mantra sadhana, one breaks through those blockages in time. Then the mantras themselves will open up the anubhav, the experiences that are called mystical experiences, spiritual experiences. These experiences are intermediate before the Atma is realized. So many experiences. People see the chakras, they are seeing the galaxies. These are high-level mystical experiences. So always keep in mind that all of these sadhanas we're talking about, they have a mystical, further spiritual level, and they also have direct application in our day-to-day life, and to make it much better, integrated, clear, harmonious, steady, without problems. So it functions at both levels. So this is called Lokik and Alokik. So it is called Agam and Nigam. Sometimes these are different words that are used. So Namah Shivaya mantra, Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaya Viche, this mantra, both mantras, if they are done at higher levels of sadhana, like Purushcharan 51,000 times, or doing them with a lot of great devotion, and then one is able to see the newness in that, and in the wonderfulness in that, then that will open up the mystical experience. Now this is interesting. What do we mean by that? What is meant by mystical experience? Mystical experience is where that which is beyond the realm of our usual mental experience opens. What is our usual mental experience? It is our waking life, Jagrat Avastha and Swapna Avastha. These are the two. In the dream world and the waking world. And then the Shushupti world, the dreams, the deep sleep state. So that which opens up experiences beyond these three, this is called mystical experience. Now, someone might say, wait a minute, why should one do that? Why should one try to gain that? Actually, there is no trying to gain that. It happens naturally as the result of energy awakening, of Shakti awakening. The mind and the brain are opening up from its usual patterns of functioning. It's programming. It's going beyond that. You see, the mental processes that we have, these are what? They are internal workings of the human mind. The process, the mechanism, the content, all of that is present within us. But we are caught in that. That's the difficulty. The Jivatma, what is the Atma Tattva that is called Jiva? Jiva is that Atma that is caught inside the programming of the mind. That is called Jiva. So the programming of the mind, the patterns of the mind, the relational patterns and activity are necessary in life. But there is so much material that is generated because of desires, because of wanting new experience all the time. And that new experience that is also repeated again and again, as we mentioned yesterday about vasanas and sanskaras and these things, that a person spends their whole life just in that repetitive cycle. So when a mumukshu realizes, no, this repetitive cycle is not for me, there's a certain range of repetition that is healthy, meaningful, and that's it. Then sadhana begins. Sadhana really begins in the real sense when a person recognizes the limitations of the mind. Meaning what? Going into old worries, old tensions, reanalyzing things again and again, old behavioral patterns like in addictions, for example. Same patterns again and again and again. Same conflicts again and again and again. Same type of running after the experiences in the material world again and again. You know, people take vacations, for example. Okay, we take a vacation, it's very good, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. But sometimes people take the same vacation again and again and again and again because they want to recreate the experience. There's nothing wrong in doing that, obviously. But there is a desire to re-experience again and again the same old things. Now take that ability and put it in the spiritual dimension. Do we have the ability to re-experience and to go into old patterns? Yes, we do, definitely. But that same ability can be utilized to do mantra sadhana. It is a repetition and a reflection. So we do Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. You continue this way. This is how the sadhana is done. Then again, reflection within, study of scriptures, doing other things in life that are enlivening, going to different temples, trying to develop oneself in many other areas of life also. All of that together brings about a destruction of boredom and repetitiveness. Boredom, repetitiveness, these things are hindrances, major hindrances, because one doesn't move into joy. Our goal is what? One of the big goals is constant ananda. That is Atma. That is the Atma. The Atma is Ananda because once one has dived into that state, through the excavation, through the digging inside, that is the second word now we're talking about, that is the excavation. Khananam, to dig, but to dig inside is to use mantras, to use scriptures and stotras and all, to dig inside. And that digging inside, where does that lead us? It leads us to a great opening. then one is moving in this world in different ways. But there is a retuning of the mind into the inner world. So this retuning is what the mantra does for us. So the mantra, we have said so much already about Namah Shivaya mantra. There's so much more to be said about both of these mantras. But they retune the mind. They increase our motivation. But the motivation is increased in a very helpful, meaningful way. It is not motivation just in terms of old repetition. See, without motivation or ichha, as we are saying, ichha shakti, one cannot even get up in the morning. One cannot do anything in life, right? So motivation refers to the process whereby goal-directed activities are energized, directed, and sustained. In life, we cannot function without goals. Every day there's a daily goal, things that we want to achieve. There's some short-term goals, long-term goals. There's goals in family, goals in career, goals in financial life, goals in physical health life. There are so many goals. And then we can also say there are goals in spiritual life. Somebody will say that I want to realize the Atma. That's a goal. I want to realize the Brahman. That's a goal. I want to please Bhagavan. Bhagavan ko prasanna karna hai. That's a goal. So there are so many goals. And no goal can be achieved or can any progress occur without motivation. So motivation is a process, it is a psychological process where you need energy. So the Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche, this mantra energizes the individual. It opens up many, many, many possibilities. And from that, the goals are selected. So as we mentioned before, the sankalpa, the goals should be clear before you do the sadhana. Then, when the sadhana is done, the goal-directed activity to reach those goals is performed. So, for example, if you have a student who wants to get all A's, it's a college student, let's say, wants to get all A's, straight A's. This mantra, this Om Aim, just the Aim Bij mantra is enough to energize the individual. The motivation increases, energy increases, and the sustaining ability, one gets sustained in reaching that realization. So whatever the goals are, it is possible to increase power, increase energy, and not keep falling back. The biggest difficulty, one of the biggest problems in human civilization is people make some progress, then they fall back again many steps. Make some progress, they fall back and forth, right? So we don't want that to happen. So when we say that we are looking for a state of realization of God, state of truth, see what Shankaracharya ji is saying. Shankaracharya ji is saying that the instructions of the competent person, as we have been talking about the different pathways, apto kitam khananam tatha. So this word here, khananam, is the excavation process. It is referring to the fact that one needs to recognize that there is great truth hidden within us. That great truth, that great joy that we are seeking. But it requires removing of all of the stones and the dirt and all the blockages. Shila Dyutakarshanam. So this word here, Shila Dyutakarshanam, it is referring to the removal of all of those layers that are there. Well, how they have to be recognized. Sachin has to recognize where are those layers. So, right? So if I'm doing sadhana, I'm trying to progress further, I can see, there's a block here. There's a layer here. There's an attachment here that is harmful. There's a vasana here that is going into this direction. There's this kind of difficulty there. One becomes a great student of one's inner world. We have said this before. And then the excavation occurs. So excavation occurs that with curiosity, with jignasa, who am I? Am I these patterns of thoughts and emotion and experience? So the mantra is a bridge into the Atma. So one continues with the mantra with bhakti bhav, with prarthana, with seva bhav, with a great sense of surrender at the feet of God, at the feet of the Ishtadevata. With all of those qualities, sadhana is performed. And then one wants to remain more in sadhana. Now, this is interesting. As sadhana continues, the desire to do more sadhana increases. There is some neuroplasticity involved in this. Just like with exercise, the more you do exercise, the more you are able to do exercise. It's like that. The more mantra sadhana is done, the more one is capable of doing mantra sadhana. You see, so the ability to increase the sadhana expands. Now, as we expand the sadhana, if one is expanding the sadhana, one has to be careful not to swing back into an energy draining process. So as you are excavating, if you're digging the ground, as Shankaracharya ji is talking about, if you're digging the ground, if you dig up lots of dirt and sand and stone and then put it on the side, does it make sense to put all that back inside again? No. Similarly, in sadhana, when we have dug through the ajnan, dug through harmful patterns of raga and dvesha, and digging through different kinds of mental tendencies from the vasanas, we are digging through them. And once you have dug through it and seen through, digging through in this sense is seeing through. When we have seen through the pattern of vasanas and sanskaras and then all of their effects, we have seen through. Then real jnana is such, one doesn't ever reopen that again. One doesn't ever bring that back again. In fact, the maya, the ignorance, the bonding capacity of maya does not catch you at that point. For example, take the example of someone who is addicted to a drug. It's easy to understand. Someone who is aiming towards Brahma Vidya can see through the addiction, not simply control the addiction, not simply, kind of go through a cycle of stopping the use and then relapsing again, and abstinence and stopping it. No, not that. A permanent seeing through. A permanent one total seeing through. This is dhyana. So when Shankaracharya ji is talking about maya karya rahitam, see the language he's using. He's talking, he's talking about this excavation. It's an analogy with the ground. He's using the analogy. We are that ground. To discover the treasure, swikrutim nikshepaha. Swikrutim nikshepa is a deposit in an amount of a substance that has been left somewhere as a result of a natural or chemical process. Meaning what? That the Atma Tattva is present as us, but it is not something that is in our direct realization. What we are experiencing are pieces of Prakriti, aspects of the natural world. But the experiencer is the Atma Tattva itself. So the mantra sadhana acts upon the mental activity and it allows the opening of a vision, jnana, that pierces through the conditioned patterns created due to the vasanas. It is a piercing through. It is seeing through the phenomena itself, the process itself. Someone who is addicted to a drug like cocaine, for example, or heroin or something like that, there is seeing through the entire experience, the actions, the behaviors, the wave of emotion associated with it, everything is seen in its entirety. This is called Samyak Drishti. Samyak Drishti is to see every twist and turn. In the words of J. Krishnamurti, that would be called seeing the structure of thought. It's a very beautiful expression. Structure of emotion, structure of desire, structure of the inner world. It is the perception and then seeing through. When we see through the structure, that is Jnana. And Vairagya. That is Jnana and Vairagya. That is also a great freedom. That is Mukti. So Jnana, Vairagya, the unbounded state. One is unbound. That is called moksha. That is a living liberation. One is unbounded by what? From the patterns of Maya Karya. Now let's look at Shankaracharyaji's words again. Shankaracharyaji is using this word language very carefully. He's saying here that Brahmavid Upadesha Manana Dhyanadibhihi Labate Maya Karya Rahitam. Meaning what? That the great knowers of the Brahman, the great sages, the rishis, they are Brahmavid, meaning that they have known the Brahman, and those they are also Brahmavetta. So there are two words here just to keep in mind, Brahmavid and Brahmavetta. Brahmavid means one who know the Brahman. Brahmavettas who are able to express what is that Brahman using language based on time, circumstance to the community at large, people at large. And that knower of the Brahman, which are those sages who have realized through their instruction, that is Upadesha. When they are giving instruction, that is called Upadesha. What is our responsibility as sadhakas, as mumukshus, is to do manan and dhyana. Manana dhyanadhibhihi. Manan dhyan adi. Dhyan meaning what? Dhyan, pratyahar, manan chintan, contemplation. It is holding the words inside. Holding the Upadesha inside. This is called manana chintana. It's actually 4 stages: Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasana, and Sakshatkar. So the Upadesha is heard, that is Shravana. Then the Manana is remembering again and again. Chintana is cross-connecting with our already established knowledge. Dhyana is meditating on the truths of that. And when one goes into that type of tremendous dhyana, when one is able to genuinely hold the truths and not allow one's vasanas and ego to steal that away, what is the result? Maya Karya Rahitam. Labate Maya Karya Rahitam. Labate means one's obtain a state. This word here, Labate Maya Karya Rahitam. And what does that happen? What is it that is realized? Swam Amalam Tattvam. See this? This is the goal. Swam Amalam Tattvam. Swam Amalam Tattvam means, Swam meaning the actual Atma. Oh, I am Ananda. I am not these problems of the Antakarana, of the causal body, the Sukshma Sharira, the entanglements, the difficulties, the endless number of bondages created within the mind and outside the mind. That is not who I am. This is an actual realization. It is the pursuit of freedom and the realization of Jivan Mukti. Because every type of bondage generated by the mind is stopped. The bondage generating ability of the mind stops. See the beauty in this. This is the one thing to really pay attention to. Where is my mind creating bondage? I have to see myself. Seeing oneself and what is happening really inside. That real perception, it opens beautifully when we have bhakti and mantra. Bhakti bhav with mantra sadhana, with ishta bhakti. We've talked about it now several times in different ways. And when this all combines together, the ajnan of the mind falls away. Now, how do you know this? How does a person know? How does a person recognize that the ajnan is going away? The ajnan is going away when the first indicator of ajnan going away is that there is a great steadiness of the mind. इसको क्या कहते हैं? मन की स्थिरता. स्थिरता. In Gujarati we say manni sthirta. In other languages have other ways of putting it. Sthir means very steady. That is very rare in life. But is it possible for us? Yes. If we want that, we will definitely get that. But that kind of prarthana needs to be there also. How many people do we all know who ask God for a very steady mind? We're asking God for material things. Okay, Sakam Bhakti, no problem. That is also needed. No issue with that. A mumukshu, a sadhaka, definitely can ask for as a prarthana before beginning the sadhana, please, O Lord, please, O God, please, Bhagwan Shankar, whoever, Ishtadeva, Devata, please bless me with a steady mind. Please give me the intelligence and awaken the energies so that the mind is very steady. That steadiness is a direct indication, it is the first indication of real spiritual progress. And if that is not there, one is still in the back and forth tug of war that is going on. That will stop eventually. When you start sadhana, there's always some back and forth that will happen. That is going to happen, but that will stop. That will stop and one will be established in sadhana. The sadhaka gets established in sadhana, as opposed to just an individual who is just haphazardly doing some mantras, some puja, haphazardly doing things. That will not produce the kind of discipline that is needed for manana chintana, for nididhyasana. You know, people say, I want to contemplate on God. Wait a minute, you will not be able to contemplate on God. You have to be ready, prepared to contemplate. It's like somebody saying, it's like if Sachin is saying, I want to, contemplate on postdoctoral level mathematics. I can sit in the class with all those people who are studying that. I have no background to contemplate on that. Even to discuss anything with anybody on that. There's no background, there's sufficient background is not there. It's like that. So the sufficient background is needed to be developed internally before even this manana and dhyana can occur. How can manana and chintan occur unless there is some development already? That development from within occurs through satsanga, by listening to all the great sages and contemplating on scriptures, and then doing sadhana also. And in time, the ability to contemplate further on what is the Atma and Paramatma, that will come about in time. It's not an instantaneous thing. So when a sadhaka is very clear that there is a need to be established, one gets established. In the beginning stages, it's a little difficult. Getting up at a certain time and doing sadhana regularly, that may be difficult in the beginning stages, but not impossible. And then one goes through that, eventually the mind will begin to comply to that. It will become accustomed to that, which is good. That is a very positive type of discipline and conditioning. That will allow for us to reach that state of steadiness. Now remember, the mental steadiness is not going to happen as long as there is an imbalance with the physical body. So physical body and mind, the harmony between the two have to be there. And if there is an imbalance, some problem is there, physical health, one has to take care of it, do what's necessary, but not lose the mental steadiness. People get overwhelmed. Sometimes they have a physical problem. They get overwhelmed by that. which adds to the problem. So don't get overwhelmed. Deal with it, take the medicines, do whatever is needed to be done, and move on. So, not getting overwhelmed, not getting agitated so much in life circumstances, whether they're physical problems, whether they're relationship issues, some changes are occurring in the world that are affecting us. Don't get overwhelmed. Meaning what? Sthirta. Increase the sadhana. Now, here's the other point. If there is a disturbance that shows up, don't feed into that disturbance. Feed the sadhana instead. Feed one sadhana, increase sadhana. No harm in that. If some worry comes and you've done what you can, the worry is still there, take this mala, take this rosary beads and start doing Namah Shivaya mantra. Just start doing that. Sit in front of the murti. I said, Lord, I'm leaving it to you. Bhagwan, aapki ichha. You don't carry the burden of this world. It is not our responsibility to carry the burden of this world. Our responsibility is to serve the world in whatever we can and leave everything else at the feet of the Lord, at the feet of God. When we don't carry the burden anymore of the things that are uncontrollable, there is a great steadiness and silence and peace. It doesn't mean one is callous and careless. No, that's not what it means. Not carrying burdens of other people, including family members and so many others, not carrying burdens is going to help us realize God and help us to help others. Sometimes we feel we're so overwhelmed and intense because of situations going on. That doesn't help the situation. That doesn't help the situation. So by increasing sadhana, our internal, it's called Atma Bal in Gujarati. I don't know other languages. I just know Gujarati fairly well because of the Swaminarayan Satsang, that's why. But the language is not the issue. It's called Atma Bal. When you have that, Bal means energy, means strength. So when inner strength grows, let come whatever may come in this sansar. Ye sansar hai kya after all? It is a bubble only. That is Vairagya. Vairagya is seeing the sansar as a bubble and also seeing one's past experiences as non-existent in the present. That is called Sankhya Vichar. And we'll talk about this. This is in Gunatitanand Swami ki jo Vato hai, in the Swamini Vato, it's a scripture. It's the second or the third quotation in there. In Gujarati, he said, Sankhya Vichar karva sikho. And Sankhya vina ardho satsang. I'll explain what it means. Sankhya is a system of philosophy by Kapil Dev Bhagwan. वो एक incarnation थे भगवान विष्णु के. It is a whole system of Tattvagnan called Sankhya philosophy. But what is the essence of Sankhya? That everything that is in the that the evolutive Maya and all of our personal experiences, these things have existed at one point. Yes, they have no existence right now. Whatever the experiences of the past were, they don't exist now. Whatever exists in our purview now exists now. So Sankhya Vichar is a sadhana. It is a sadhana of coming completely to the present, where one does not in any way use any energy from the present to live in the past where that energy is being torn or drained or damaged. That is living completely in the present. This is called Sankhya Vichar. It is a sadhana. And at some point we'll have to schedule a special time to actually show these real steps in this. I'm just briefly describing it right now. It is a tremendous sadhana. And if one is established in Sankhya Vichara sadhana, wow, That is a great freedom. One is completely free. There is no analysis of past problems. There is no worry about anything from the past. There is no entanglement in the past. There is no tension about the past. There is no regret about the past. There is no self-blame about the past. There is no shame about the past. There is no blame towards anybody about the past. Wow! What a state of mind that is. इसको क्या कहते हैं? सांख्य विचार. ये सांख्य विचार की साधना है. अलौकिक साधना है. It's a great sadhana. And it is a sadhana that is enhanced by these mantras. Mantra is an aid to that. It all connects together. You do mantra for some time, then sit for Sankhya Dhyan. And Sankhya Dhyan means coming to the present. This is where we can close the eyes, meditate on the Agnya Chakra, use the Namah Shivaya mantra, pray to Bhagwan Shankar, to the great goddess Parvati, Ganesh Ji, pray to them, Shiv Parivar, as an example. Vishnu sadhana also similar way. No problem. And in doing so, one comes to the present. This is my life right now. What is to be done today? That's of relevance. Not to use energy in regret, shame, blame, none of that. Even if difficulties are going on, so what? Himmat honi chahiye. Don't worry. That worrying and crying and blaming and ये सब क्या है? This is energy damage. इसको कायरता कहते हैं. इन वचनामृत भगवान स्वामीनारायण कहते हैं शूरवीर भक्त बनना. Shurvir Bhakta means what? One who has courage. One who has courage to live in this world with freedom and with complete energy without getting into one's own mental drain of energy. One becomes a slave to the past. No. Yes, one can remember the past for guidance and that's all. There's nothing else of any relevance there. This is called Sankhya Vichar. This is called Sabij Sadhana. Sabij Sadhana with mantra. Bhagwan ka jo mantra hai, Ishta Devata ka jo mantra hai, Guru has given mantra. Or if you don't have Guru, Namah Shivaya mantra is fine. Make Bhagwan Shankar your Guru, make Hanumanji your Guru. Fine, they'll take you all the way. They'll show you who the right Gurus are. Not to worry. And in reality, everything is Guru. Guru is what? It's not just one person. It is the whole of existence is Guru. The whole of reality is Guru. When we are getting Updesha, as Shankaracharya ji is saying, Updesha Manana Dhyana Dhyana Dibhihi, when we are getting Updesha from the great sages, yes, and then from that Updesha we are able to see every experience in the light of Guru Tattva. Who is not Guru? What is not Guru? In fact, one's own past experience that becomes Guru. It's extraordinary. If one is extraordinary. See, the ordinary disappears. The extraordinary appears in the ordinary frame of life. This is how human life can develop eventually into that Brahmavid state. Brahmavid meaning the knower of Brahman, the vastness. Obviously, the vastness can only be opened and expressed when there is zero wastage of energy, zero entanglement, zero worry, tension, shame, blame. All this thing completely stops. 100%. To have it completely stop, stay with the mantra. Do the regular sadhana, get into the right disciplines, and have the courage to drop every single problem of the past, to literally drop it from the mind. That dropping of every single problem from the mind, that is the activity of the Trishul of Bhagwan Shankar. Wo jo Trishul hai, he's holding that Trishul. It means dropping the disturbances of the mind. Jagra, Swapna, Shushupti, Sthul, Sukshma, Karan, Sattva, Raj, Tam. The three prongs. It means that. And that Trishul is with us. When we do the Namah Shivaya mantra, that Trishul is with us, and have the courage to use that Trishul. Bhagwan Shankar, doesn't he throw that Trishul after a certain point and just blows the head off? What is that story about? That is blowing off this every single distortion, problem, agitation, twist of damage of energy. It is stopping it. That is the utilization of the Trishula in our life. That is Sabij Sadhana. Okay, we'll stop here for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Tomorrow we are meeting at 7:30 because of the other program that I have. So tomorrow is Wednesday. So tomorrow 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will continue a lot. We'll spend a couple more days on this verse. There's a lot more to be said about this. We'll talk more about some of the other yogas also, and then that'll further clarify what this beautiful teaching of Shankaracharya ji is all about. And we'll do the closing prarthana, the mantra pushpanjali right now.